Hey guys, this is May, and this is actually another part of the video that I created for you on Mercury. And I'm probably going to put this at the beginning of the video. And so you might hear me say, do an introduction twice. I'm not sure, I'll know in a minute, but this is really important. This is super important. So, and by the way, I've said this in other videos, that I know there's a lot of truthers out there that we aren't sure if they're real humans, if it's an AI implement. And I want to stress the only reason I don't show my physical souled being is due to the nature of the work that I do working with the elites. I am still employed. Warren Buffett is the president of my company. Every household name you know, I've flown. And so I'll stop right there. But I'm still, I signed an NDA when I started at 27. Was it 27? 21 years ago. 20 years ago. Sorry. Anyway, so enough about that. I just want to say that. And once I conclude that position, which I'm too early to retire, I'm too young. But I am planning on concluding that because I'm an artist and other things, and you don't need to hear about any of this. So my point is that I will show, I will eventually do physical in person because we all like that. We like to see. But sometimes some people seem to have channels for actually a long time. There's what's that guy, Waters Above. He is really interesting, and I have no idea what that dude looks like in real life. But he's got some real interesting stuff. I know that, and he's got a great voice. And what matters most is the information that and the insight that we gain, isn't it, to empower us and enlighten us. That's what matters the most, and we're all friends here. And this video is on Mercury. So what I want to say real quick, we are in this inverted upside down world, this realm, controlled by the elites. And you know, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and they control big pharma and the medical association and all that. And in their symbolism, they use Mercury, right? You can see it with the snake, and I will try to add that symbol here. One important point I would like to illustrate in this brief video is the fact that Mercury, like I say in the next chapter of this video, is my cure. When we reassemble the letters, language is inverted, and it often has a double meaning, and Mercury is my cure. Now, having said that, there are videos and texts out there that you can find, Tartarian type architecture that we have. We have a lot here in New Orleans. We have a lot, well, it's all over the world, isn't it? All the big cities. So anyway, the steeples, they would put Mercury in the gold ball at the top of the steeple. It was free energy, is what I'm getting at. And Mercury spins. It creates its own energy, and it's fascinating. And I think what a lot of us have gathered in our research is the fact that these that are used now for the false religious doctrine, these temples, right, were really, they were houses where you would go in and you would heal yourself through the free energy mechanisms, like the organ, which is ironically still there in a lot of these buildings, and it's labeled the organ, and it heals your organs. So, okay. So the free energy buildings, they used Mercury in the top of the steeple, which would radiate some type of energy, where obviously the Morgans, the Rockefellers took over and introduced in our false overlay Saturnian world electricity. So, however, Mercury gave us something free, and it healed us, and it gave us energy and lots of other fascinating things, but it was not profitable for the Morgans and the Stanley and Rockefellers. This is not profitable, right? So we've got to put out there that Mercury is toxic. Now, you can have your own beliefs as far as dental allograms that they put, fillers, etc. I'm not so sure because I don't trust anything that they say. So, unless you have your own personal experience, but it could be another element other than Mercury. You have to keep in mind there are a lot of what they call expedients, okay, inactive ingredients that we can hardly, make out, read, or spell, and that's intentional. And there's a lot of non-disclosure in ingredients that are dental and medical, and we know that. So Mercury is my cure, okay, and I want that to resonate with you, and I'm going to go on to the next chapter regarding this and Mercury and how we can connect with my cure. My cure is a waveform, and he, she, because Mercury is not female or male, excuse me, the Hermes god. It's prominently featured as a male, but it's in mythology, but it's really not male or female in the sense that Venus is a female, the moon is considered a female energy, and Mars is and Saturn are malefic and they are male. So Mercury, we need to think a lot about this in this inverted world, don't we? We need to expand on this and research this and my cure, because you see, hidden in plain sight means if they tell you one thing, it's likely the opposite, right? It's inverted. It likely is the opposite. So if we are seeing Mercury plastered everywhere around our hospitals and doctors' offices, etc., we might want to take a closer look and think that, hang on a second. This symbolism, this logo you're showing me might be actually good for me. Rather than I know when I walk in here with that symbol, you are not going to give me a cure. You're not going to do what's good for me. Now, it doesn't mean you can't put a Band-Aid on the situation and make someone temporarily feel better or halt their symptoms temporarily. But is it ever really a cure? No, free energy was a cure. Mercury is a cure, my cure. And now let me lead on to the next quick chapter. And I'm sorry to be long-winded, but I have a lot to say on this inverted subject, on this inverted term. Okay, here we go. Thanks for listening. When we reassemble the letters of the word Mercury, we have my cure. And so I find it extremely ironic that, for one thing, the symbol of the American Medical Association, which cures nothing, is the symbol of Mercury or Hermes. And we have to remember when we see these symbols and logos that we are in an inverted upside down world. And when we see these symbols, we might want to examine it further and question. Right? So, like myself, if any of you have had anyone close to you with diseases and ailments, cancer, etc., did you ever notice them getting into the system, into the patient portal? Isn't it funny how you must create the patient portal? And you're going to definitely enter some other portal, that's for sure, on a consciousness level, whether it be through death or suffering. So when you enter their system, it's no coincidence that you often will fill out a patient portal. So Mercury, okay, I will add the symbol here. I just find that fascinating. So planets are wandering stars in the flat plane of consciousness. That includes all of them. And right now in this short video, I'm talking about Mercury. It's a frequency, okay? It's a frequency. You are on a frequency here, and they're excuse me, they're like waves, like waveforms. The wandering stars, they are not fixed. There is Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, etc. And here's the thing, is that they are like waveforms, and they have created, without them we wouldn't be here, right? So Mercury is important, and in Roman mythology, he is Hermes. And Hermes, let's see, you can buy a Hermes handbag, which I often see with the rich and famous that I fly. You can buy one of those for, I don't know, 50,000, maybe 30,000. You see that on the housewives, the Real Housewives. They're always carrying those bags like it's nothing, which is just absolutely absurd. I always think when I see these bags, and I often do in person, I always think, my God, how many people they could feed, right? How many little children they could feed. It's a shame. So, and it's unrealistic. It's just ridiculous. The prices are like that, so that only the elite can carry those handbags that are Hermes, which is connected to Mercury, my cure. So we know that it's the symbol of the American Medical Association, and if you have an ailment, if you are diagnosed with anything, you are not going to get a cure from this system. You are not. They are, right? They are drug pushers. They want you there as part of the whole program, right? And I know I have some elderly friends that are in aviation like me, that and one is not well, and it's interesting when they just believe, if the doctor says they have a heart condition. Well, I said to this friend, I said, well, why do you have to have heart surgery? If you're not having pain or symptoms? No, but the doctor said. So we know that the guy in the white coat tells I look at it as a customer, but we're going to call it patient, which is ridiculous because all we do is sit around and wait for them. But okay, so the guy in the white coat tells them the diagnosis, and then they have a surgery or they get into a medication system, but it's never actually a cure. So is there a cure hidden in Mercury? Mercury is so bad, right? Maybe not. These letters, these inverted letters mean something, and we have to examine them in our upside down world. We're literally standing in our head in this place, in this clown world, okay? Everything, what's up is down, what's right is left, what's white is black, etc. So we need to closely examine, because the supernatural element of the elite bloodlines that created this false construct in which we live, they know the inverted language. Do I think that there's some vault full of literature beneath the Vatican that they access or that they are aware of? Maybe it's now in computer systems, but that can never be blown up. Computer systems that can never be destroyed, right? Some type of quantum computer, the AI level, that to the likes that we've never seen. Is there all this data and literature and the true nature and knowledge of the origin of our existence? Absolutely. Absolutely they know. Absolutely. But if you want to control a society, if you want to control a slave system-based society and you want to retain power, well, your subjects cannot know the truth of their origins, right? So get them distracted and get them believing that they're, and I'm sorry if I'm going to offend anyone, but that there was some man who existed and was born of a virgin. That virgin was Virgo. That virgin is an allegory, and that is Jupiter, Jesus, or the sun. But it was not a person. So here we go into the holidays, and this is how you distract that group of people from the reality. Now, I have been studying and researching astrology based on the rotating the stationary plane of existence for the past year. And I've been studying lectures and reading books and some ancient texts, even by a guy named Bonatti, and Santos Bonacci lessons I've been taking, which I joined his school, and some others. And so anyway, I don't want to go off on that too much, but I'm learning that from myself to advance and to better understand this frequency, this wavelength, weird place in which we are, which is Saturn's realm. We're in Saturn's realm. We're shifting into the age of Aquarius, and I can give you evidence and proof of that. Not just because I fly I fly the devotees or members of that world, and I have been for quite some time. I haven't been to any of their Eyes Wide Shut parties, but I have been exposed to some other elements of that I and not just that. It is a frequency when you're in the capacity of these bloodline folks, these people, well, if you want to call them. Okay, so anyway, Mercury, so they know there's nothing wrong with the word paganism, which it does mean folk. It does mean folk. It means more than one god, and that is the original ancient practice that is actually probably the closest to what this consciousness-based place is related to the wandering stars and Mercury. So Mercury is always within one house of the sun. It's very close to the sun. He's like a follower, he, she, because he's not really he or she. And you can find it in your birth chart, find Mercury. And so Mercury right now is in retrograde. And what I want to say is you know how we were always taught to pray and everything if you were religious. Maybe you weren't, but in Catholicism, I grew up Catholic in New Orleans, so of course there was the rosary and all that nonsense. And the thing is here's my take on it, is that maybe we should be communicating with the gods, with the wandering stars. And whatever that means for you, maybe just in silence or speaking out loud or creating an altar, whatever that means for you. But they do have a huge impact on our existence. That it's a scripted existence. And it's so funny because today, and this is a side note, I have a bed and breakfast in New Orleans. I have a big, actually too big, 3,400 square foot house on the streetcar line in New Orleans, near the French Quarter. And so I rent out my house, and that's a whole damn thing, dealing with the general public, because in my other life, flying private jets, I only deal with the elite. So it's very different. This is quite different. But so anyway, and most people come to New Orleans to party and to, tour around and stuff. And so what I'm getting at is New Orleans is very interesting because it's on some kind of ley line. There's a very weird, different energy here. People will come here from places like Iowa and things and live out some fantasy that they've always wanted, right? So it's very mystical. There's a lot of mysticism, and even in a good way. Obviously, they can transform here. They can evolve, and much better than in my opinion, Vegas. Whereas that's quite a bit more artificial. New Orleans actually has an interesting history with the voodoo and the hoodoo, and it just feels differently. It is on a ley line, and apparently Mercury is right overhead. Mercury has a big influence here. And what I'm getting at is, what if we take the perspective of my cure Mercury and we embrace that. We embrace that. Maybe it is a cure to communicate with Mercury. Why is that so far-fetched? I mean, these people right now as we speak are sitting in hospitals and doctors' offices everywhere, not getting cured on one damn thing. Let's be truthful. You know what I'm saying? So there's a wavelength, there's a frequency. A lot of it is mental, but maybe if we embrace these gods that are right, actually, since we are in a contained field, some sort of it's like the best analogy is a snow globe, right? The glass ceiling that the elites always love to talk about, which we know what the glass ceiling is, okay? And the ridiculous rockets. So And I did have an experience with Elon Musk and that group, but that was around Easter. So anyway, nobody's going to Mars. There's no Mars. There's no Mars, CGI Mars. That is so absurd. But Mars is a frequency, and Mars is a malefic guy. He's kind of a bad dude, not as bad as Saturn. And right now we're in Saturn's realm. We've entered the underworld, the bottom half of the wheel, and here we go. And yeah, it's a darker time, isn't it? It's short days and dark nights, and I suppose time for introspection, right? Some evolution, some introspection. And this has come to me about Mercury, and I believe it to be true. And I believe maybe Mercury's not your guy. I mean, maybe it's Venus. Maybe it's really all of them, because they all have certain attributes that contribute to our experience and our existence. That's there's no doubt, obviously. So, and I'm going to explain more on that with astrology, which it's kind of a misnomer because it is a cosmology, astronomy, astrology. So I'll explain more on that. But what I find ironic is, and what I think that we should be looking at, because we're not falling for their BS. We're not falling for their symbol of Hermes and Mercury, thinking that they're going to cure us. No way, no way. We're doing alternative. We're doing natural, whether that's fasting or fruit or exercise, whatever we're doing, but we're not going into their clinics. You know, I know people that listen to truther based channels aren't falling for the trick, right? We're not falling for the trick. But what I want to say is let's try a different angle. And we see some kind of cure in Mercury, and let's expand on that. And if they wouldn't have it as a symbol, okay? There is no way in advertising, in logos like is like algo, right? Logos, symbolism. They would not have Mercury as their logo if it weren't to ensnare you and entrap you and be upside down to what it really was. Okay? Everything is opposite here. You're in the world of opposites. Okay? You're in an inverted upside down world. Think of it like the ceiling is like a mirror. I mean, look at how when you look in the mirror, you never see your true self. You see the inverted, the backward version, right? Isn't that weird? So, because we're projected into here. And I'm going to close on this. I just wanted to talk about my cure for a moment, and we can talk about that. And when I say we, I mean whoever's listening, you're a part of this. You know, I sometimes listen to truther channels while I paint, because I'm also an artist, and I listen to truther channels just like you do. And we comment, we engage, but we don't. We want to feel heard. Everyone wants to feel heard and connect. That's why I'm doing this, to connect with others. So, of course, I love your comments and contributions, and I want to know what your thoughts are, because it matters a lot. But let's look at this inversion, and maybe you think it's far-fetched. I believe in it. I believe we should take a look at everything they project outward to us, trying to promote a false projection to us, right? Trying to promote something that is not in our best interest, ultimately. So we find our own cures, and I will stop there on Mercury. And I hope, if anything, it makes you pause and just look at that and think and expand on that. Exalt, as Mercury does, so to say. Okay, thanks for listening. More next time.